It's about time that I finally talk about these. Resident Evil 4, a B horror game masterpiece, versus The Evil Within, the spiritual successor to Resident Evil 4. However, is it better? Most of you already know that I love the Resident Evil franchise, most of the time. I will not be biased towards Resident Evil in this video. I will compare them equally and fairly. With that said, here's what I'm going to compare. Story, characters, gameplay, and replayability. I am leaving out graphics because The Evil Within will win that easily. So let's get started. Shinji Mikami directed Resident Evil 4. He brings us back into the world of Resident Evil where a new nightmare rises. Story revolves around Leon Scott Kennedy, a returning Resident Evil character after surviving the Raccoon City incident. It has been 6 years since that event. Leon is now a special agent hired by the president to rescue his kidnapped daughter from a cult group. Leon must survive this new nightmare, save the president's daughter, and find out what's the cult's sinister plan. This story is ridiculous, and the writing is what to be expected from Capcom.
I was starting to wonder when you might notice us.
Who are you?
Me llamo Ramon Salazar, the 8th Castellan of this magnificent architecture. I have been honored with the prodigious power from the great Lord Sadler. I've been expecting you, my brethrens.
No thanks, bro.
But it has this self-aware writing that makes all the difference. It knows the franchise is ridiculous, so it plays it up.
Better try a new trick, cause that one's getting old. You okay?
I've been better.
What's so funny?
Oh, I think you know. The American prevailing is a cliché that only happens in your Hollywood movies. Oh, Mr. Kennedy, you entertain me. To show my appreciation, I will help you awaken from your world of clichés.
It's hard to criticize the writing when it knows it's ridiculous and is asking not to be taken seriously. The story has the charm and fun of a B horror movie like The Army of Darkness, but if you're looking for a horror game that has a deep narrative, then I don't recommend The Evil Within. The Evil Within story is thin as paper, which is a shame because Shinji Mikami also directed this and it has interesting ideas, but it doesn't hold up the story. It revolves around Sebastian, a detective investigating a hospital massacre. He's suddenly thrust into this mad world. Trying to survive this mad world as figuring out what the hell is going on. The story has 3 major problems: progression, plot holes, and nothing substantial happens in the mid-game. Throughout the game, you find yourself in random locations without rhyme or reason. It's hard to feel like you're making any progression. What's the goal? What are we working towards? To escape? That's the goal in every chapter. In every chapter, horror just happens. Throughout most of the game, nothing substantial happens. Just horror. Sure, the horror moments are fun, but don't add anything. The story only involves until the end of the game. Even then, there is no closure. Some plot holes don't even get addressed. Oh no, I'm turning into a zombie-like creature. Oh, never mind, I'm good. Let's never bring that up ever again. You can find files that help explain the story a bit better, but even still then, it's not much. The Evil Within story is an interesting idea for a video game, but doesn't live up to expectation. Point goes to Resident Evil 4. Just like the previous video, I will be comparing the main characters, antagonists, and side characters as their own points. Leon Scott Kennedy is a returning character from Resident Evil 2. He's moved forward since then. This is what you call character progression. Instead of making him as scared and confused on what's going on, making us go through the same emotions, instead Leon is cool, confident, badass, and calm in tense situations because he knows he has been in worse situations. His growth is the same as Ash from The Evil Dead. First scared, timid, and confused to one-liner badass. It was either this or the generic drunk officer tortured by his past, which sums up Sebastian over here. Sebastian is bland, generic, underdeveloped, and uninteresting. You can learn more about him by finding these files near every save point, but it just reveals his generic backstory. He lost his family, so he became an alcoholic. It wouldn't be so bad if the game took the time to develop it and maybe use it against him, so we can sympathize with him more. The main story only brings it up once, and if you don't even read the files, you would be so confused on what are they talking about. To give Sebastian some credit, he is at least more grounded and reacts to certain situations more realistically than Leon does. But Sebastian has no character. Point goes to Resident Evil 4. Every hero needs a good villain. This is for the best villain. Now, I will only be focusing on the main villain. Resident Evil 4 has side villains, but that is for the next category. We have Sadler versus Ruvik, a cult leader hell-bent on taking over the world, versus a mad scientist who wants to get out to continue his research. Sadler is a cartoon villain, but a very entertaining one. The dialogue they give him is just gold.
We just planted her a little gift. Oh, there's going to be one hell of a party when she returns home to her loving father. But before that, I thought I might bargain with the president for some donation. Believe it or not, it takes quite a lot of money to keep this church up and running.
However, he is a dumb cartoon villain at the same time. Sure, Sadler, reveal all your plans to him and try to kill them, ruining your plans as well. Why not let them escape? So that way when they return, you can control them and take over the world. Villainy 101, don't reveal your plans to the good guys. Ruvik, on the other hand, is motivated. He's a force not to be reckoned with. And he doesn't go around yapping about his secret plans. He's not as entertaining as Sadler, but he has a story, and it's interesting. Ruvik, I would say, is the redeeming quality of the game's story. He is the reason I wanted to keep going. I want to learn more about him. I'm giving this point to the Evil Within. Sadler is entertaining, but Ruvik is much more. Point goes to the Evil Within. Side characters aren't the main stars, but they can just be just as memorable as the main characters. This is for the best side characters. Resident Evil 4 wins. I'm not going into deep detail about this. The Evil Within barely has side characters. They are so memorable, I can't remember their names. You have a Bookworm, Eye Candy, Anime Lunatic, and Mr. Borefest. Resident Evil 4 side characters has this thing called personalities. Lewis has like 4 minutes of screen time, and he has way more personality than anyone in the Evil Within. Point goes to Resident Evil 4. This is going to be a tough one to decide. We have Granados versus not Granados. The Granados may look like ordinary people, but they are psychopathic murderers who have no sympathy. Their physical form is just an illusion of who they really are. Parasites. Parasites that aren't scary, unless you were to add the special enemies and bosses. When it comes to fending off the undead horde, they are not scary. 80% of the game is fending off the ordinary form that adds more terror, but it's not that nerve-wracking like the specials and bosses are. Which, by the way, the boss fights in this game are awesome. They are tense, terrifying, and creative. The not Granados have an interesting design, and I didn't even want to get close to them. There's little details that makes them more threatening. Hey, Silent Hill 2 called, it wants its symbolic creature back. Special types in this game are few, but intense. Sadly, I can't say for the boss fights. The boss fights in this game are lacking. There is only one I thought was pretty good. but the others are lacking, including the final boss, which is just embarrassingly easy. The boss designs are disturbing, but they're not terrifying to fight. Resident Evil 4 has the better bosses, the Evil Within has the better standard enemies. It's hard to pick, but I'm going with Resident Evil 4. The boss fights are memorable and are a lot of fun. Point goes to Resident Evil 4. Sometimes story doesn't matter and it's all about the gameplay. This is for the best gameplay. When Resident Evil 4 came out, it was revolutionary. It showed you can drastically change the game, but keep what made it special. Resident Evil went from a fixed camera angle to a third person's perspective, and the gameplay was much faster. Instead of small group of enemies coming at you, you have waves of enemies. You can carry multiple weapons to dish out the pain. Sure, the pace is halted when you must pause the game to swap out your weapons, and the controls are clunky, but that won't bother you. Meleeing enemies is fun, and if used right, you can knock down a small group of enemies. Resident Evil 4 at heart is a survival horror game. You must manage your item space, and screwing up can lead to horrific deaths. The Evil Within's gameplay is built upon Resident Evil 4, favoring the third person's perspective and faster gameplay. It does improve on Resident Evil 4. Your feet are no longer stapled to the ground when you aim, and you can swap weapons on the fly without killing the pace. Getting headshots sound so satisfying. Oh yeah. Melee in this game is useless, except for breaking boxes, which usually gives you green gel instead of freaking ammo. The game encourages you to use the stealth mechanics, and if you play your cards right, you can make it through the area just fine. The game is more focused on being a survival horror than an action game, though it does devolve into that at the end. Stamina is limited in the game, so run only if you need to. Resident Evil 4's gameplay is still lots of fun, but I must hand it to the Evil Within because it does improve on the gameplay and added new elements. Point goes to the Evil Within. Replayability is a huge factor for me when I finish the game. I want to go back to see what secrets I missed and other content the game has to offer. This is for the best replayability. Resident Evil 4 is packed to the brink with content. You can upgrade weapons to see which one's the best, unlock more weapons, costumes, treasures to find, figurines to unlock, and other additional modes. The Mercenaries mode is a whole lot of fun. You go up against waves of enemies, dispatch them however you want. If you score high enough, you can unlock more characters, each one of them with their own abilities. Separate ways and assignment is are fun extra stories. That's a lot of content to compete with, and the Evil Within doesn't come close. You can unlock weapons, harder modes if you want to punish yourself, and figurines. You can upgrade, but it's not experimental as Resident Evil 4's. It's quite linear. There's these map fragments you can find as well as these keys, but they're not worth looking for. The keys unlock safes that have items in them, but what you get is completely random and has a chance of being useless. There's not much reason to go back and visit this unless you're a 100% completionist. Must give this point to Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is the victor here. The Evil Within is still a good game and I still can recommend it. It's a good follow-up to Resident Evil 4, but doesn't surpass it. That's it for this video. Which game do you think is better? Leave your argument down below. If you like what you saw, why not subscribe, like, and share this video. See you soon.